What is going on, beautiful people? I am Lee Hammock, the diagnosed self-aware narcissist known as mental illness, and welcome to another episode of A Narcissist Explains. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about how is it better to have a toxic parent or an absent parent, in or out. Like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more. Thank you. So I heard this recently right here, y'all. It is better to have an absent parent than to have a toxic parent. And if you're new here, I'm a narcissist. I have narcissistic personality disorder. So this person is saying that like the narcissist, maybe it looks like the narcissist or toxic person is doing their child a favor by not being in their life. Which if you look from that viewpoint of, it's better to be absent than to be toxic, then yeah, there's true from a certain perspective. And if you're dealing with a narcissistic person or a toxic person, regardless of whether or not that the other parent, the narcissist, is in that child's life, you will have to do the emotional, you will have to carry the emotional load. You know what I mean? You will have to provide the emotional support and the emotional stability for your children, because the narcissistic person just, might lack empathy and things like that, might lack an actual emotional connection to the kids. So yes, sometimes it is absolutely better to have a single parent household than to have a two-parent household where one parent is toxic or both parents are toxic and the children get caught in the middle of that. So absence sometimes is not the worst thing. So welcome back. There's a lot to read on the screen, so I'm gonna just paraphrase it, y'all, if you couldn't read it. It's pretty much saying that it sounds like the narcissist is doing that child a favor by not being part of that child's life. That's pretty much what it said, paraphrasing. Which is actually, like I said, I saw that quote the other day. Well, Ben Taylor, Raw Motivations, another one of the self-aware narcissists sharing his perspective. He gave me that quote. He said somebody said it to him and he gave it to me, and I was just like, okay, that's powerful. Is it better to have an absent, toxic ass parent or to have a super hyper, sometimes present narcissist, toxic parent? So for me, again, y'all, this is a question. So for me, as a self-aware narcissist, the answer for me is going to be it depends. It really depends on the situation and the circumstance and things like that. Because children, yes, our children, your children, whoever, children are resilient little creatures. They are. They're resilient. They are stronger than what we think they are, and things like that. But there's a big but. But B-U-U-U-U-U-U-U-T-T-T-T-T-T. But there's a lot of moving pieces, y'all. So for me, if you had to ask me this question, I would say absence works better. I would just say absence sometimes works better. That's just my perspective. But again, it depends on things like that. Because I would rather you be out of their life completely and them just feel that little. Because both of them are bad, y'all. Let's just keep it 100% honest. Both are bad in a lot of situations. But the absence, the kid might be wondering why this person is gone or whatever, and the dynamic goes there, and they might grow up and have resentment. Because that's how I was. I grew up with resentment and things like that. And you see how I became a narcissist. But my twin brother, he grew up, he doesn't have that resentment. He actually interacts with my dad sometimes. I don't care. You know what I mean? I still hold some of that resentment, some of that grudge from my youth. But my twin brother, he's cool with him. You mean comments on his Facebook and stuff like that, jokes with him and things like that. I don't care for him. You see, I internalize that resentment. So it's a very, very particular situation in my thing, because he was absent and, I turned into a narcissist. My brother didn't. You internalize different things and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? So it really just depends on the child and how they receive things. But it's up to you as the other parent, regardless of the situation, absent or present. You're gonna bear the emotional load. You just are. When you're dealing with narcissists or trying to raise kids with narcissists, you yourself are going to have to bear most, or if not all, of the emotional load, emotional validation and things like that. You just are. So the other parent is toxic as hell and they're absent in the kid's life. You have to revalidate that child. You have to be there for that child a little bit more. Is it fair? No, we understand the dynamic that is not fair in a lot of these situations, but it has to be done sometimes. Because if you're not there emotionally for that child, buckle up. I'm just telling you, these kids, yes, the kids are resilient, but if you are there, if they have an absent parent, and then you are just emotionally bankrupt yourself, or you don't have the emotional intelligence or the emotional fortitude or emotional strength to be there for this child. I'm just telling you, these kids, man. So Yeah, so absence could work out better, but like I know some people you keep the kid in a toxic ass household. Because I posted this, and, you know, I post these videos everywhere, and there were people in the comment section like they regretted staying in toxic relationships or keeping the other parent around, trying to make their family work because they thought I thought they needed their dad in their life, and the dad is mega toxic, physically, mentally, verbally abusive, but they stayed together for 30 years. And now the kids, guess what happened? The kids, because they stayed together, the kids grew up, and guess what they did? Stop talking to both of them. The kids cut off both of the parents, both of them, the toxic one and the non-toxic one. Because the kids felt like mom kept mom. The mom was not toxic in this situation. But we do know toxic moms exist. She's like, but our moms kept us in there. We asked her to leave. We told her it was time to go. But they see the dynamic now. The trauma bond exists. Their mom was trauma bonded, stayed in toxic relationship, kept them around that abusive, kept them in that abusive situation, and I'm not victim blaming, but this is what the woman commented in my comment section. She was like, I kept them in the comment. I stayed in a relationship, and now my kids don't talk to me either. Now I left. She's like, now I left my husband when the kids don't talk to me. So I'm trying to rebuild the relationship, but my kids are pretty much telling me it's too late. You know, they're 30 some odd years old right now, and they don't want to talk to me anymore because they begged and pleaded for me to try to find a way out, but I just kept them around here. So sometimes keeping those kids in toxic relationships could result in them growing up and cutting you off as well. Not just the toxic parent, they cut off you as well for keeping them in there. Sometimes it happens. I've talked to me personally. I've spoken to children who have that have grown up. They're adults now. They don't talk to either of their parents. That's how I know the situation exists more times. It exists a lot. I've talked to multiple kids doing my one-on-ones over Zoom and things like that have experienced this very similar situation where they cut off both their parents because they begged and pleaded for one parent to leave, and they decided to stay because they love the person so much. They decided to stay because they're emotionally bonded or trauma bonded. You know, they empathize with their parents, but then they just, you know, they're still together now. Some of the parents are still together now, trying to have a relationship with the grandkids and stuff like that. And they're just like, no, I don't want them around my grandkids. Because I know the environment that I grew up in. I don't want my children in that environment at all. I don't need them to be grandparents. I don't need them to babysit. I don't need them to do anything. So again, I'm not trying to put pressure on you if you're staying in the toxic narcissistic robot resetting. I'm not saying this to keep you in a toxic relationship. I'm not saying this to scare you into trying to leave a toxic relationship situation. I'm just trying to give you a little possible peek of what could be coming in the future, because your kids might grow up, you know, and internalize all this stuff that they're in, and they might blame you as well. I'm just telling you, it does. So go back to the beginning question. Is it better to have an absent parent or a toxic parent? I know people want help and stuff like that. Like I said, in my personal life, I have in my own personal life, I have very similar situations going on right now. Like with this exact same scenario, you know, would you rather have this toxic ass man or woman in your child's life? Or would you rather them just disappear completely because they're doing so much emotional damage to the children while they're in their life and being present in their life? Would it be better for that parent to not be in the picture at all? You see what I'm saying? It happens. Like I said, I think everybody had these types of scenarios. Whatever the pertinent verbiage from the people going through this, like especially the toxic parent, is like, my baby mama, my baby daddy, my whatever, my ex-wife, my ex-husband, they won't let me see my kids. They keep the kids from me. They turn my kids on me. Rabble, rabble, rabble. You hear this? That language is so performative and so common. It is laughable. Especially in today's society, it's truly, truly laughable. You know, but it happens. So you have to ask yourself. You know, and I've been around children that are experienced absence and partial in and out of their life. You know, I've seen that. I've seen the damage that it can do. Neglect or absence can do. So it's kind of the choice, you know. Sometimes you don't get the choice. Sometimes the other parent is going to fight for their rights. Sometimes they just they're acting like they're fighting for rights and stuff like that to pretend to be online to be good parents. You know what I mean? That's just how it happens. You know, they're the best parents on social media, but in actuality, in real life, they are not. It happens. You know what I mean? My baby mama keep me from my kids, and whoever believes that now in 2022. if you believe that, again, unless you've been verbally, mentally, unless you've been abusive or you have a restraining order against you, it's just hard to just for them to be able to keep your kids from you for no reason. It just is. I could be wrong. If you're in a situation like that right now, comment below. Like, Lee, you're wrong on this one. I personally am going through this right now. Look, hey, keep fighting for your kids. Because for me, there's no force on this earth that can keep me away from my kids. And there's just not. I do so much in my own personal life, work-wise and stuff like that, but I still make time for my children because they are the most important thing to me. But that's how it goes, though. So that's the question you have to ask yourself: is it better to have an absent, toxic-ass parent, or a present, neglectful, horrible, just toxic-ass, narcissistic parent? Like me personally, I think absence works better because absence allows a little bit of healing and things like that. Because this consistent presence of that parent, them being present can actually allow the kid to see who they really are and decide for themselves. It's not, like I said, sometimes the kids have to decide for themselves. They are around the other parent that is present. Y'all might not even be together in a relationship, but they might be around their other parent, the toxic parent. They're present in their life, and they just grow up and don't want nothing to do with them because they see they're toxic. They make the decision on their own. But either way, you yourself have to carry the emotional burden, the emotional load, and things like that. But anyways, y'all, let me cut this thing short. I truly appreciate every single one of y'all. I'm super thankful. Like and subscribe for more. Toronto, Canada is November 19th, 2022. NarcAvengers.com, NARC Avengers.com/Toronto. Get registered up, come through and see you, y'all. Stay tuned, like and subscribe for more. Until then, this is out. Peace.